Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new edition of the EKN Tent Talk. My name is Rob Howden, joined as always by David Cole. And this edition here at the SuperKarts USA SummerNationals, the final round of the 2022 Pro Tour Championship Sunday coming. We'll find out who are the national champions and number one plate holders for SuperKarts USA competition this year. Again, PSL Karting, of course, longtime stalwarts of the North American karting scene. Over 2 decades, they've been part of national level racing, both north of the border and south of the border. PSL, of course, the biggest and the importer for the Birel art chassis and, of course, all the other components underneath that, all the other sub-brands as well. David Cole, good to be here again. We're at Newcastle Motorsports Park. We call it kind of our second home because we spend so many race weekends here each year, but good to be here for the Summer Nats.
Yeah, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
This is the first of what I think is 4 for me for this year.
It is.
So, and all in the second half of the season. Normally we're here a little bit earlier in the year, but excited to be back at Newcastle. Excited to decide this year's champions in the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the drivers here that are part of the program here this weekend. Jordan Musser, of course, joining us here, multi-time SuperKarts USA Pro Tour champion. We'll have Mark French joining us, Jake French as well. We'll see what other drivers we can potentially grab from the paddock area. They're still working behind us, wrapping up from Friday's practice. We'll also, again, talk to Mark French a bit about the Birel art brand and how it's kind of growing throughout the U.S. Mark does a lot of work down in the state of Texas, and there is a lot of Red Army people down there right now because they have sold a ton of Birel art carts down in the state of Texas. Let's start with Jordan Musser, though. Jordan, for those of you folks who have watched national racing for any period of time, you know Jordan Musser, one of the legends of our sport for sure. Good to have you back here this weekend. You've won lots of championships in the Masters category, 5 in total, 5. But you're running pro shifter this weekend. What's the motivation behind running against the kids, if you will?
Yeah, it's definitely a new challenge. For me, it's to continue to get better.
Yeah.
You know, I think once you reach a certain point, even though it's certainly challenging at the front of the Masters field, I'm just not learning as much. And I think you learn the most when you get beat. Yeah. You come home from a weekend and you don't win is when you learn the most and you see the biggest improvements and find and look for ways to be better. So for me, it was an opportunity to be a better driver. I've been racing for Masters for so long that I think I kind of maybe got complacent.
You mean you don't want another season of just you and Ryan Kinnear going at each other for a full season?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, also, I'm going to be fortunate enough to attend the World Championships this year in France. Yeah, and so for me, I knew I needed to do something different if I want to be competitive at that level because those guys are going to be as fast as the top few Masters guys at the World Championships will be as fast as a pro senior driver. So I need to up my game. And already this weekend, it's been a huge difference.
Really?
I've already worked on my driving quite a bit. As long as I've been doing this, there's stuff to learn. And I think I've improved for sure, even just today.
Well, I would have to believe, for those of you who may not know about it, we're talking about the KZ Masters World Championship event that's happening. So a lot of drivers who, of course, have been Masters drivers and won championships around the world, thinking of an opportunity now to win a world championship in the KZ Masters class. It would be such a different approach, Jordan, for you on a race weekend. You would come in, I'm here to win, so if I'm 2 or 3 tenths faster, I got to find another tenth. I got to maintain where I am right now. I got to make sure my tires last the entire distance and I'm good to go. It's a totally different dynamic for you, right? Where you are approaching the weekend and how much faster you have to get.
Yeah, I started off this weekend a second off, and that doesn't happen. I expected. I mean, we knew that was going to happen. That was the approach we were going to take. But go to a Masters weekend and we're a couple tenths clear of the field and everyone else is trying to find a way to catch us. For me, we were kind of like mid-pack here in senior, so I've been slowly marching my way forward, and now we're about a half second off. I think if I hadn't made a pretty big mistake in the last session, maybe just under 4 tenths off, kind of 3.5 tenths off, which was kind of the goal for us, so we're actually kind of where we wanted to be, but I just want to keep pushing. And I mean, if you look at the Masters times, I think we're 1.4 seconds faster.
Wow.
So I don't think I would have been that much faster than Crow if I was running Masters because I would not have had the drivers around me pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's something about having someone to chase and you make small adjustments to your driving that you improve on that you can't see in the data. And the data gives you is definitely important. But when you're right behind someone and they pull 3 feet on you, you don't see that in the data. You're talking thousands of seconds.
Yeah.
But that's a big difference on the racing surface. So when I'm driving with French and Kremer's always has on the racetrack at the same weight with the same engines, I have no excuses. I mean, there's no excuse for not being just as fast as they are.
It's real, yeah.
And I don't give myself an excuse. I don't come back and say, it's because I'm 41. I say, no, I need to get better. Yeah. And that's how we've gone from being, say about a second off yesterday we unloaded, now to being just a few tenths off.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's not like you've not been able to use their data in the past, but you've been at a different weight. So it's not exactly you can measure up because you're at a different weight than what they were when you were running Masters. Now you're at even weight. And like you said, you're more of a visual guy on track. You can see exactly the pinpoint kind of the spots where they're getting you or you're getting them. And it, as you said, it doesn't correlate so much on the data, but you visually, you're more of a seat of a pants kind of a driver.
Yeah, I mean, the section times, we use data for section times.
Yeah.
But it's very different. I can see much smaller granularity on the racetrack. I do use data a lot. Matter of fact, I think one of the big improvements over the last 2 years where I've gone from being fast to being really kind of the leader in the Masters category, or at least I try to be, is I quit using the excuse of the weight. And my target was always to be as fast as Jake, period. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
And in a few events, especially some of the temporary circuits, we got within a few tenths. And so that was kind of the goal then. And now this is kind of the reset the goals and go for more.
I like that. So if you have any questions, if you're tuning in right now live and not watching it this when it's recorded, feel free to drop a comment, whether on Facebook or YouTube. David's going to pick those up. If anybody does have any questions, David can bring that in and ask Jordan or any of the other guests we have throughout the day. So let's talk about this KZ Masters race going in. Is there anything else you're doing in terms of other than running pro? Are you doubling down on your fitness? What are you doing to try to get ready when you go to Europe to kind of be a guy that can run up front?
Yeah, fitness is going to be a huge thing. I mean, as I get older, it's getting much more difficult, that's for sure. I haven't raced since Orlando, which is kind of tough on me. I've never been a big practicer. It's just the way my work-life balance has been. I just haven't had the time. When I can get away to go race, that's what I do. But I practiced every weekend for one day, basically once a week for the last 6 weeks, which is something I've never done before. Wow. And I can tell a difference.
Down,
yeah,
right?
I've never done that in my entire career.
All right.
And so I can tell the difference. I'm more consistent. When I enter, like even this race weekend yesterday, I went in and I wasn't thinking about my fitness or I wasn't thinking about driving. I was just learning the track and trying to get faster. I wasn't just getting any kind of rhythm. I had the rhythm immediately.
Yeah. Well, how about
there was one question. What have you kind of learned over the last 2 days running here with Kremers, Pickett, French, and everybody else under the tent? Is there kind of one thing that kind of stands out over the last 2 days, maybe?
Yeah, actually, a big thing I've learned, it's a deficiency in my driving. I tend to overcharge entries, and I'm leaving a little bit on the exit, but that ends up multiplying down the next straightaway. It's a fairly odd. Everybody says slow in, fast out, okay?
That's simplifying it.
But really, you have to be fast in and fast out. So I was a little too fast in, losing a little exit that I don't think I realized how bad it was. And so I had to really actually change my driving style a bit, change the way I rotate the car into the corners. So for me, that was the biggest difference in running with the pros, let's say, and the Masters drivers, is the pros are getting better exits and carrying that down the straightaway. And it really is a big difference in driving style.
Wow. What's your expectation? For you, what's a success on the weekend? Where 20 drivers in the field, where do you want to be when you leave, you head home to Texas? Man, this was a good weekend for me.
I think we can run around 5th to 6th. I believe that's the lap time. I know that's the lap times we can turn. There's a lot of luck involved there as well. Obviously, being in the middle of the pack where I'm at is going to be very difficult to survive. There's that piece, right?
Sure.
So I think the real goal is survive, finish top 10. We'd be extremely happy to finish around 5th. I don't believe we have the speed to finish higher than that. Okay. So 5th would be a win for us. 10th would be a 5th. In my mind, so that's kind of the range we're looking at being in.
If you're watching the race this weekend, one of the things you're going to have to deal with, like I will have to deal with, is Jordan decided to go find 0.2 of a second getting a custom helmet, custom paint job, because you've always been the cue ball. That's been your kind of trademark, the cue ball with the eKartingNews sticker on the front of it. But now you got a custom paint job. You said that. So if you're going to go to Europe to race, you got to have at least a bit of paint on it.
Yeah, I don't want to be like that redneck American showing up to the World Championships with a white helmet on. Maybe I should have gone full on, gone Musgrave with the motorcycle helmet, just really piss them all off. It was funny. We were joking about it. I'm not sure which would be better, to show up with a nice helmet or show up with a white helmet and actually kick everyone's ass,
Actually be good
but maybe they'll probably just send me off the end of the straight with the first lap out of principle. So,
that's true.
Well, you do have the American flag on it.
I did. We made it extra big for that reason.
So, that might be a little bit.
Let's cap off our segment, Jordan, with you. You've been on the Birel for quite a while right now. What do you feel about the material right now, the changes they've made over the last couple of years? Are you happy with the cart the way it is? Does it fit into your driving style? I know you're changing it a bit now, stepping up, but
yeah, I mean, I've definitely adjusted my driving style, but I think that's independent of the chassis. The chassis last year we made a big jump in stability and making the cart easier to drive. Obviously, Kremers won the World Championship, I guess, the year before that, but I felt the chassis was quite difficult to drive the previous 5 years. Okay. I struggled a bit. We obviously have a lot of commitment to the Birel brand, so we stuck with it and helped learn. And like I said, Kremers won the World Championship. It's hard to say the chassis was bad, but I think it was hard to drive. So guys like me, maybe guys that aren't professional drivers, were struggling a bit more. Now the chassis is way easier to drive. And I think that's why you see under this tent a lot more guys, and it's not just Jake going fast.
Yeah.
We have 5 guys that are all within 3 or 4 tenths.
Okay.
And I think that's why I think the chassis is better suited now to a more average, no one's average at this race, but
Right.
a non-Jake French, a non-Kremers type driver. Yeah.
All right. Well, Matt, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Jordan.
Jordan
care.
Musser, guys, I've got to watch for sure this weekend. We'll see what he's able to do in the pro shifter class. Let's grab Mark French. Mark, get in here. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. The ST5 KRT karting helmet is available for $599. Manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material, the KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for the younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision. The perfect youth helmet is available for $549. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva Rib Protector is unlike any on the market, with its form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these and many more products to keep you safe on the track. Stilo. Any competition, one helmet. The Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is where out-of-the-box ease and outstanding consistency meet to create legendary races. Briggs & Stratton's history of motorsports dates back to when the first engines came off the assembly line in the early 1900s. Their focus on the grassroots level continues to help build generations of racers. Since 2008, the Briggs & Stratton 206 has gained a following that has the engine powering the largest fields in North American karting today. From the club level and track programs to traveling regional series and national events, Briggs & Stratton competition provides the most exciting racing in the sport. Engineered and hand-built exclusively for racing, every Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is power tested and serialized before it goes in the box. Karters can take that engine straight from the box to their kart and be on the podium at the end of race day. Be sure to follow Briggs & Stratton Racing on Facebook and through @RaceBriggs on Instagram. To learn more about the 206 engine or to find the North American dealer near you, head to BriggsRacing.com. Briggs & Stratton Racing, what powers you? Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. So again, Jordan Musser, as we said, multi-time Masters champion. Watched him win Rotax championships as well. Multi-time champion in the Masters category over the last number of years. He'll be one for us to watch. Any of the North Americans watching over at the KZ Masters Super Cup, that World Championship event. That's going to be a ton of fun to see what Jordan's able to do over there. This guy here has been at the national end of the stick for many, many years, coming up with his son, Jake French. If you've been around the sport for even a couple of years, you know about Mark French and what he's done nationally with Jake on the wrenches.
2007, Colorado, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Micromax Grand National Champion.
Minimax.
Minimax. So, yeah, he had a couple more years before that.
What kind of chassis were you on?
Margay.
Margay. That's what I thought.
You know, it's funny. I didn't even know the difference.
2007.
I didn't even know the difference between caster pills. Like which way the caster pills went. We had a motor off of eBay. It was, and Curtis with acceleration, he did the motor for us. He did the motor for us, and it was amazing.
Yeah, that's 15 years.
It's crazy.
That's
right?
wild, right? Yeah, watching Jake grow up through the entire time. You obviously let's start a little bit with working with your son. We'll talk about that first, then we'll come into the brand itself. I know it's been a ton of fun for you because it's not something that we see a ton of in the sport of karting, especially at this level. I mean, at this level, we see it at the club level, of course, regional level, the parents working on a kid's kart. But you kind of grew up with Jake. As Jake became a better driver, you became a better mechanic, you became a tuner. You really started to become to the point where you're at the leading edge of the industry. It's not like you're just a dad coming in turning wrenches anymore. Yeah. You're a widely respected engineer, tuner, a wrench on a kart. So that's, I think, a different thing for you. Obviously, you're right at the very top end, still working with your kid.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stems from Jake too. I mean, Jake taught me a lot of what he needed in the go-kart, and then it was my job to give it to him. So I think a lot of it for me was learning with him and growing with him and learning what he needs on the track, and then telling me what he needs on the track, and then learning to give it to him. And that was the biggest thing for me.
Well, and that's it. It's having that good connection with the driver, and the fact that you're with Jake for so many years, you really develop that language.
Yeah.
So you step in with somebody else. I know you've wrenched on other people over the years as well. Are you able to pick up that language? Is that the first step, coming to developing that communication so you both understand each other?
Yeah, I think that's the most important part is the communication and getting that right with the driver, and then also understanding what the driver really needs to make the kart go faster. And for me, being able to watch that on the racetrack and to pick that from the driver, look at the data, and then be able to make those adjustments and give them what they need.
Yeah, exactly that. Now let's talk about the brand itself. You took a time where your wife Gina and yourself ran the Texas Pro Kart Challenge for a while. You were race promoters for a while as well. Jake was still racing elsewhere. You moved away from that, and now you're with Full Gas Motorsports. That's your program out of Texas. And I mentioned at the start of the broadcast, you've added a bunch of soldiers to the Red Army because there are
Texas Red Army.
Texas
Red Army. I should have worn the shirt. Hashtag Texas Red Army. It's growing hard.
You have sold a ton of red go-karts into Texas.
Yeah. And that's really where I like to do. I mean, being at the club level, being able to sell the go-karts, being able to see the smile on the faces, being at the club races, and helping people achieve what they want to do, whatever level it is.
Yeah.
And it's been so much fun.
Well, that's a perfect word to the end, because Dave and I talk about fun all the time. I think a lot of the times we see this at the national level right now. People get so stressed about it. I don't know what it is. Maybe the money that's being spent, the expectations of being a professional race car driver. They don't have as much fun as they need to at a weekend like this. But club level racing, national level racing, it should be about having fun.
It really is. And I'm going to give a shout out to Evan and Anna, my latest customers, KA guys. They took them to the track before I came here to Indiana. Absolutely had a blast. And that was by far just still gives me chill bumps, to be with them and see them grow. And then they went to the track while I was in Indiana last week, had a blast. Karts are rolling well. And that's so much fun for me.
Because it's more than customers. It's almost like bringing in new family members. Am I correct? Because these karts are your babies, and you bring people, and then you have that association, the feeling of watching them grow.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you did with Jake. You watched him grow and become a driver that he is now, and now you can see a person come into your shop, buy a kart, go off in the couple of corners the first time they take it out, and then a couple of months later they go out and they podium.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the greatest feelings to have.
Yeah. And over the last couple of years, I've seen that. I've had that experience go from club level to regional level and now national level. And even though they moved on to different teams, because my MO is not to have a race team, it's just to help everyone that's on the red product. But, to see them go to different teams and do well and continue to, grow and as a driver and stuff, it's cool that I had a small part of that.
Yeah, indeed. Let's talk about how you want to grow the brand right now moving forward. What do you think the biggest things are with Birel Art right now and the way they're moving forward? Obviously, there's the sub-brands, the Ricardo, the Leclerc. How do you see the brand moving forward? It seems to be growing on the national level. I know there's the PSL crew, yourself. You guys are really doubling down in terms of getting the kart in front of the right people, but then having some success here at the national level as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think just if I look back at what Jake and I were doing, it boils down to support, right? So for me, kind of I've taken a little bit of role with Birel as helping them with the brand overall in the United States, and it's the support, right? So it's like anything else. If you buy a car, you want to know all about the gadgets and everything that works. It's the same thing with the go-kart. So you want to know, the ins and outs of it. What have you learned? What have you not learned? What's the best thing this, best thing that? So for us, it's being there and being able to provide them the support and what they need to achieve their goals, whatever that might be.
All right, before we bring Jake in to talk just about how the track is, we'll talk more about the actual track itself. Let's
talk about Jake's driving the last session, but I'll let him talk.
You know what? No, we're going to do this first, then we'll segue into that. That way we can really rip on them. We're going to tap into your knowledge a little bit. So obviously people watching this potentially are Birel customers around the country, right?
Yep.
North America, wherever it may be.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about the chassis itself, 4-cycle, 2-cycle, and the shifters. Tuning-wise, what's the mindset you use on tuning the kart? Like, is there a specific mindset that works really well for you with the Birel? If it's pushing, do you do a certain thing? If it's loose, do you do a certain thing? Is there some tips you can give potentially to the grassroots racer?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, what I've learned over the years, and I'll just go across all chassis, is being able to adapt to whatever the track situation is at that time. Knowing if it rained the day before, knowing if there was a race the day before. It doesn't matter really, the kart manufacturer, but being able to adapt to whatever those conditions are.
And is it in that case, then, is it not locking yourself into, well, it's doing this, so I have to do this with the go-kart? Maybe it's different because of the track?
Yeah, I mean, not so much that, but I think what I see a lot of times is people get hung up on, as I ran X lap time last week, and I can't do that this week. And their kart setup is exactly the way it was last week, and they expect to do it this week. Well, what happened in that week? So that's my biggest thing. And Jake's I'll let Jake talk about it a little bit. He does a lot of driver coaching in Texas and across all brands. And even though I'm a Birel art, through and through, I still help a lot of people. But for me, it's helping them understand whatever those conditions are and how to best adapt for it, whether it's driving, kart setup, whatever it is.
I like it. All right. We're going to go with Jake French. It's perfect time when we do the podcast. We'll do a commercial here right now. Go grab your kid for me, will you?
All right.
Let's get Jake. How's that cocktail, by the way? Perfect. Again, another edition of our Tent Talk show here at the SuperKarts USA Summer Nationals. Getting a chance to talk with Jordan Musser to start things off. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network.
You want the best? You just gotta roll with the best. Streeter Superstands. This is Jeff Wessel from StreeterSuperstands.com. You wouldn't put subpar parts on your racing cart, so why put that cherished ride of yours on anything but karting's #1 lifts and stands, Streeter Superstands. Streeter is the original and genuine manufacturer of the second-to-none Bigfoot rolling stands, stackers, uprights, and industry-leading Superlift. We also manufacture and sell the largest and always growing roster of trailer and shop accessories like tire, engine and jug racks, cabinets, spray can trays, bead breakers, and tons more to outfit any size trailer, team, and budget. Streeter Superstands has over 30 continuous years of experience. We're kart racers just like you and know that the Streeter name represents the absolute best in stands, lifts, and accessories for karting enthusiasts worldwide. Durability, affordability, unmatched quality, and customer service, that's what sets us apart from the rest. Check us out now at StreeterSuperstands.com. Roll with the best, StreeterSuperstands.com.
Powered by technology, DID racing chains have a worldwide reputation for superior quality and reliability. Meticulously engineered and manufactured in Japan, DID genuine parts are the world's #1 original parts supplier for Japanese and European motorcycle manufacturers. A rich racing tradition where results speak for themselves, DID prides itself on engineering the most technologically advanced chains on the market to help you excel on and off the track. DID's SDH pin treatment creates an extremely hard chromium carbide layer on the pin surface that houses a soft inner core to absorb extreme shock loads. DID's 219 HTZ racing chain boasts this SDH pin technology, which leads to longer chain life as well as excellent energy transmission to the wheels. Available in the gorgeous gold, the 219 HTZ is the ultimate racing kart chain. Pick up a DID chain at your local dealer today, because when winning is the only thing that matters, go with DID. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress.
Keep talking.
I'm still talking. Oh, I see.
Yeah, you don't have to stare at the camera though, because I have the camera off right now. Right. So I was hoping that way it's a little bit easier for the segue.
We'll bring Jake coming in here for sure. Is Harrison Mills still over there? We can grab him later too, potentially. All right, let's get the microphone set up here for Jake French. He's done a couple of these broadcasts with us. Welcome back, folks. We're here at PSL Karting. We've talked to Jordan Musser, as we said, Mark French. We'll bring the kid in here right now, who's no longer really a kid anymore. That was a
no, I'm not too much of a kid anymore.
He brought up 2007.
I did.
You did. That's exactly that. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Rotax Nationals? Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
What's the one? Obviously, aside from winning, what's the one thing that kind of stands out from that weekend in Colorado?
One thing was probably just our program. You know, it was in the time where big teams were starting to come along. So like MRP, Tony Kart. I mean, it was starting to grow. The semis were starting to come in and whatnot. And I'd only been karting really for 2 years, really a year. And we were just out of the back of the trailer, eBay motor, with a Margay chassis that we had no idea really what we were doing. And I don't know, just kind of.
So what made you guys go there? I mean, if you guys didn't know what you were doing, what made you go there from Texas to Colorado?
Well, because Rotax was pretty strong around our area. Okay. We didn't really run any races besides Rotax Nationals, and we did Rotax Nationals the year before, and that was kind of our one big race we wanted to do, and that's Rotax.
So it's almost like the runoffs. It was almost like your runoffs.
Yeah.
But let's use this as an example for anybody out there right now who's struggling. You're brand new. You just got rolling with your son or daughter. You're coming racing. Invest the 15 years and you can be a pro factory driver essentially and one of the top tuners in the sport. If you put the time in, you can get it done, right?
It takes a lot of laps. I mean, yeah, it's expensive. You're running tires and fuel and whatever, but you run the tires till they pop. I mean, you run the fuel all the way down. You run 50 lap sessions, not 10. You know, you just keep going and going and going, sun up, sun down.
Well, obviously, Jake's been in the top, 3, David? How long has he been in the top 3 ranking?
A long time.
A long time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was always number 2 last year.
That's right.
Still is number 2 right now.
One of the top 2 drivers in the sport, 2-3 drivers in shifter car racing for the last number of years. Your dad was talking about the fact you've transitioned to a lot of coaching back home, a lot of driver coaching, different brands, whatever it may be. You mentioned being on the track, on used tires, beating the crap out of them. What would, if you were to talk to somebody out there, a club level racer, what kind of tips would you give them? Is that it? Go to a practice day and run out of fuel? Like just keep driving?
Yeah, for sure. You know, a lot of kids nowadays, they want to play video games or they go out there for a little bit and they run, you know, whatever, 40, 50 laps and then go home, or if the parents want to go home, whatever it is. You know, I don't see a lot of kids nowadays, especially at the local level or even regional level, that just don't really put a lot of time in. You know, they're not putting a lot of laps in. Now, there are some talent that's coming up, you know, Fletcher and Young Guns, Cruz, and Zilch and all them. They put the time in.
Is that it? Is that the differentiator? You got to put the laps in. Don't complain that you're not fast on the weekend if you didn't put a couple hundred laps in.
Exactly. Well, and they're in a go-kart every other weekend, if not every weekend. You know, a lot of kids will just go to a race and only go to that race to drive a go-kart. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people that want to be serious about it. There's some people that want to make a career out of racing. There's other people that do it just for fun. So there is a difference between wanting to do it and putting the time and effort in, but also hiring somebody or getting somebody that knows more than you do to help escalate. If you're at a if you're plotowed and you can't get anybody to help you, try to find somebody to go fast.
Yeah, we talk about obviously Birel Art. You talk about the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. They have Birel Arts at their program as well. Great place to go for coaching. You can hire a private coach or somebody in your area. If you got Jake right with you in Texas, that's a great call. So again, what? I want to ask you this. So what is the thing that most grassroots drivers challenge? What's their biggest challenge? What's the one thing when you get to the track, you're like, okay, we got to work on this? Is it entry speed? Is it getting back to the throttle? Is it the line? What is it?
And honestly, it varies a lot.
I would think braking.
I was just about to say that.
I could be a driver.
A lot of it is braking. Some kids, they overbrake, they overslow. Because braking, there's a lot to it. There's threshold braking. There's when to release the brake. There's how hard to hit the brake at,
initial brake pressure.
There's so much of braking to gain. Some people ride the brake throughout a corner when you don't need to. You know, there's so many things. But just like David said, it's a lot in braking.
Let's come to the actual race weekend here right now, the SummerNationals. Track's been interesting. A lot of rubber going down last weekend in essentially the practice weekend race, the warm-up race. Had some rain in the middle of the week. What's the track like now? You're out there for a full day today. What's your thoughts on the track surface itself?
I've always loved this place. It kind of suits my driving style a little bit, but grip's definitely coming up a little bit. We've tuned up the Birel machine a little bit, made some fine-tuning changes. I think the chassis is really, really good. Still, Dominic and my dad are working on the motor, trying to get that program going. And no, I feel really good. You know, we went P1 in practice 4. We're top 3 in practice 5. Used tires, new tires. don't get me wrong. I think there's about 6-7 of us that are really, really close. It's going to make things interesting, but I think we have a good package.
What do you think about that old guy Jordan Musser running with you?
I think it's great. He needed it. I mean, he's been out front for so long. He needs some, especially when he goes to. I think he said he's going to Worlds.
Yeah.
He needs some banging. He needs to sit carts around him, front of him, and back of him. It doesn't matter if 14 years old or 30 years old.
Yeah.
He needs to be around it.
You guys do a lot of practice. Well, I don't know. Maybe more so last year than it was this year, but you guys have done a lot of practice sessions. What's kind of the one thing you guys work on when you're on track together in a practice session, in a test session at home?
For him, he treats practice as in he's getting laps in just to get laps in.
Okay.
He doesn't push himself.
Okay.
So one thing I always wake him up is to, dude,
100%.
drive 110%.
Yeah.
Wear yourself out. Instead of doing 150 laps at 75%, that's too comfortable because you've been out in the front, and that's what you only have learned and done for the past 5 years. Now you have to run that same amount of laps, but at 110%.
Yeah.
So push yourself.
He's got to break out of where he's been.
Yeah, exactly.
Winning all these championships, right?
Well, I think he's doing it. He's doing what he needs to do.
He did a
this
pretty good
weekend.
job today.
Yeah,
That's good. That's awesome. Overall, on the weekend, you're pretty excited about getting back to this one. This like you said, you like this racetrack. It's a championship weekend. This is a big weekend.
Oh, that's good. No, unfortunately, I think I'm too far out of the championship. We didn't have a good run in NOLA. A couple of hiccups in Utah, but that just means I'm going to push myself harder to get some wins. I need some wins on the resume. So
what about November? Let's talk about SuperNats real quickly before we wrap up.
I am excited about it. I'm glad we're back at the Rio.
Yep.
I really, really like that parking lot. I'm going to be honest. I really, really hope they change the layout, and a lot of people agree with that.
Okay.
The layout's a little too short. It's not great for racing, especially shifter racing. If they change the layout, I think we'll see more
I'll see
shifters.
if I can put a word in for you.
And that's one thing, because a lot of tracks, they're built either for shifters or they're built for single speeds.
That's
Because
true.
I think that's kind of the difference in temporary circuits.
Yeah.
We've had that before, right? We've had some tracks when we'll do the track walk and everybody walks out and they're like, this is for shifters.
They need to take a note in the layouts at Westgate. Those are great.
You like
The
Westgate?
The Westgate layouts were balling.
Which one do you like better, the first one or the second one? The second
Second
one's
one.
a little longer.
Yeah. Second one was
That
long.
was
It was like minute lap times.
huge parking lot,
It
though.
was.
Yeah,
It
that
was.
much room.
But it had everything you could ever need, and
It
had
was a
great
pretty good
passing
track.
opportunities.
Okay, well, you can't take that one because remember there was 15 and 16, both on that smaller side of it. Remember the one we had the 180 as the turn one. That was not exactly the funnest.
No, that was
No, they had to
design.
repave that. I think.
Yeah,
that,
and then
that weekend.
and then I think the second year they instituted that 90, the big sweeper.
The one we kind of
Yeah.
had. We still had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would almost
a lot of shifter guys, even the guys from Europe, said the sweeper's not. It's not the way to go.
They didn't like
Yeah.
that 1-2 last year, 1-2-3 with the big left hander, then the two hairpins.
They like the hairpins, but they said it's too dangerous for the sweeper.
It's pretty
So
fast.
it's yeah.
All right.
But
All right. Well, that's good. That's good input.
yeah, it's good to know.
David, anything else?
No, nothing on here.
No questions?
Hold on.
What we got?
What key piece makes a shifter layout, and then the same towards single speed? So there you go. So what's the key? So obviously none of those massive sweeping corners for shifters.
So yeah. I mean, it can have sweeping corners, but a lot of tracks tend to have kinks before a corner. It could be a hairpin, 90, whatever. With the kink there, you can't do anything because you go into the kink and then you go right.
It's got to be an open run.
It's got to be an open run in.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like at some of the previous layouts, it's just there's always a kink right before, or there's a short run up, or there's a fast corner, and then you're going into hairpin, so you can't really get a run. It needs more of kind of hairpin, more hard braking, more of able to get off a corner well to set up for the next corner, and then somebody, if they get off better, they can get under you in the next corner. So
well, I mean, talking with a shifter guy, he said they love the Rock Vegas layout for shifters compared to SuperNats layout for shifters.
It's a little too simple,
Right.
but that track, hands down, the parking lot wise, has been the best racing track I have ever seen.
For shifters.
Yeah,
Okay.
and single speed.
Okay.
Wow, all right.
So it can get hectic, but it makes for great racing because you
It's
can't.
almost like we need some of the components of NOLA too. That's anytime you have to have that open run,
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
corner, you
Yeah,
dive down the
yeah.
inside. Those are the best corners there. I think.
Yep.
So we just need a big sweeper.
I mean, like the track at SuperNats, you have that long sweeper, and then you go into turn one in that braking zone. You can't hardly ever pass in that braking zone.
Guys
You're
just gotta
coming
start
out
the
of a
apex.
sweeper, and then you're going straight down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you can't. There's no run up to the corner or anything.
Okay, all right.
So
Interesting.
I think we need to do what we did back in the day with Shifter Car Illustrated magazine. We did a thing called Shifter Town, where I grabbed little segments of the tracks everybody loved and kind of put them all together.
I think I remember that.
Remember that? We got to see if we can talk to everybody, grab all the little components of the tracks you guys like, and get that into the super nets.
Okay, what's the one track you would put in the Rio parking lot if you could? Don't worry about size, but what would be the one shifter kart
Shifter
track?
kart track.
Newcastle.
Newcastle's up there, but no, I would say Nola is really, really good.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, that segment's
That's
in
a great.
Nola. It's just,
The long straightaways.
not Utah.
There's a lot like the
No,
last
Denton.
sector
We're
and
gonna
the
drop
first sector.
Denton right in the
Oh,
middle.
yeah. What if we did
Yeah.
Denton?
Oh, yeah. Ooh. I don't know about that.
I love it. Well, folks, there you
Ask
go.
Crimmers about that track.
Oh,
He's gonna hate it.
Where is he?
That's probably his worst
Where is
track of all time.
We're going to wrap things up here. This edition of the Tent Talk at PSL Karting. We do appreciate you joining us, folks. Great to have Jordan Musser, of course, one of the multi-time champions of Superkarts USA Racing Rotax, as well, one of the legends of our sport. Mark French, who's essentially turned himself from a karter's dad into one of the most respected tuners in the paddock as well. And then this guy here has been very top of the shifter car driver rankings for many, many years. Jake French, thanks for joining us, bud. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
We're going racing this weekend, folks. Friday's done, Saturday and Sunday full-time racing. Hope you guys are going to join us throughout the weekend. Otherwise, you're listening to this or watching this live. The podcast, of course, coming on the EKN Radio Network. As with all of our Tent Talks, you can find them on the EKN YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much, folks. On behalf of Jake, David, the other guests, I'm Rob Howden. Bye for now.